Hey everyone, it is Violet, and today I have a video that I am very, very excited to be making. Um, I don't really do videos on concerts that I go to, really. I've gone to many concerts throughout my life, but the only times I have ever made videos on concerts that I've been to were for Tyler Critter's Igor tour, which was an incredible show. And then, of course, if people know me, they will not be surprised by this. But I did make 2 videos last year on the Weekends After Hours Till Dawn tour. I went to that tour 2 times. I made videos on both shows I went to. One with my friend Kevin Falk for the MetLife show. And yeah, that's just been it, really, in terms of doing content on concerts that I've gone to. But in general, I do want to start making more videos on concerts that I go to. And I am, and this is the beginning of it, I guess, I am coming back to YouTube regularly starting this month, November 2023. So this is how we're beginning it. And we're beginning, guys, on a pretty crazy note. Because today, in terms of concerts that we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about Bob Dylan. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I saw Bob Dylan a few hours ago at the, according to my mother, it is pronounced the, I'm praying I get this right, the Emporium Theater? The Emporium Theater? I honestly don't know how to say it. Mom, because I know you're watching this, Mom, my biggest supporter, my biggest fan, my mom. Shout out to my mom, guys. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say it, I guess. But thank you, Mom, for trying to help me. But I saw Bob Dylan live tonight in Boston. This is, he's doing a whole weekend-long engagement on this stop here in Boston on his tour. And this was the second evening of that. And it was a Saturday night one, and I went to it. And before I get into anything else about this show, though, so this is going to be a bit of an interesting concert review. This is more of a ramble. If people have not watched me before, I'm definitely a rambler. So just please bear with me. But this is going to be an interesting one to do because of the fact that I actually, I've already seen Bob Dylan live before this, which is such a blessing and such a gift. But I actually saw Bob Dylan live on the first Boston date of this tour back in 2021. Here's my ticket for it. Let me do this hand thing so you can see it a bit better. There we go, baby. There's my ticket right there. So I saw Bob Dylan originally for the first time live on the same tour, Rough and Rowdy tour. I saw him live on Saturday, November 27th, 2021 at 8 p.m. And just to get this part out of the way first, because it's kind of funny and like it's obviously such a gift and a blessing I can even say this. But I was orchestra pit right center, and I was second row. I was seat 14, so I was like on the very, very, very end, like the far corner, pushed in the little corner. I like sat next to like the security guard, and she was very nice towards me, and we had some cool conversations. But it was a little bit of like a funny little seat to have. But like, any show you go to where you're that close is such a gift and such a blessing, because most people are never going to experience something like that in their lives. And like, I can say I've done that for someone like Bob Dylan. I know Bob Dylan doesn't really like to be like viewed too much in this sort of like, like pedestal above other artists and stuff like that. But, admittedly, to be a bit of a bother and, put him in that kind of pedestal for a second, seeing someone like Bob Dylan, like in such an intimate theater, like the Wang Theater was in Boston, also, like so close in like just second row for someone as like important as him, it was overwhelming. I to quickly reference, because I'm always going to reference him, like, of course I will reference him, but let's talk about the weekend very quickly. When I saw the weekend for the second time, I saw him at Gillette Stadium. I was second row for that concert. And I wasn't really like, I definitely was like, oh my God, that is Abel right in front of me. But like, I wouldn't say it was exactly like a starstruck thing. Like, okay, maybe like it was a little bit, but I wouldn't say it was like a fully starstruck thing. But with Bob Dylan though, when I saw him at this show, the first one I went to, I genuinely was starstruck. I think it's the only time I've ever been starstruck in my life, and I don't know if I'd ever would get starstruck again. It would really depend on like who else I see live. I've seen like some pretty important artists in my life alive. And I haven't been like starstruck. I'm just nothing wrong getting starstruck, obviously, but just like for me, like just like emphasize like what I like the emotions I was experiencing. Like I genuinely was starstruck because like he walked on stage of his band, I remember, and I remember I just sat there and I'm literally like 15 feet away from Bob Dylan right now. Like I was like that is like the craziest thing ever. Like what like I don't know what I deserve to like experience this. Like it's just crazy. Like it's such a blessing, and I'm so like fortunate to have these memories. And to quickly get into it with the show I went to a few hours ago, I was fifth row. So and I was center orchestra this time too. So like it was just like it's so crazy to me that like I've had these experiences so close and such like in an intimate setting, and just like these just emotional experiences of someone as like special and just amazing and as beautiful as Bob Dylan is. And so yeah, so to get into this performance first, and also I guess like whatever little memory I have from this first show, and this is gonna be hard to look at for any Bob Dylan collectors out there because his posters for his tours are pretty cool items to collect. But he did not do it for this part of the tour, which is a bit of which I cannot speak. Which is a bit of a bummer. But for this original leg of the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour, he did do posters for each city. So I do have the poster for the Boston one. I remember I literally got to the venue, the Wang Theater, like right when doors opened just to make sure I got this poster. But unfortunately, as you can probably tell, it's not in the best shape. I put this into storage like a year ago, and it didn't really like storage, which is so valid. It's so valid, you know, but like, yeah, it didn't really like storage too much. So unfortunately, it's not in like the greatest shape, but like, I still love it. Like obviously I know the condition is bad, but like I still love it. It doesn't make me like it any less. And so yeah, so this is my poster. I really should frame this. The way I'm handling it too is not great, but yeah, this is the poster I got for it too. And so yeah, so to get into the actual show, I like the performance of it. Definitely one of the best shows I've ever been to. I'm just first of all talking about. I mean, both of them are. Spoiler alert, both of them are. But just talk first of all about this one at the Wang Theater, almost 2 years ago. Oh my god, that's so crazy to think about. But let's talk about that show. It's hard to describe it just in terms of like the feelings of it because let's pull out another accessory. Rough and Rowdy Ways, the vinyl for it right here. So this album. Let's actually get into this first. This is a ramble. I'm so sorry. But Bob Dylan. I became a Bob Dylan fan because of this album. I wasn't really into Bob Dylan at all growing up, really. It just wasn't music that like I got into, really. It wasn't anything that like my family was really into, admittedly. And so I just never really like got into it really because of that. But this album came out right around the time I turned 17, I remember, in 2020. And I reference the fact that I turned 17 when this album came out because when I turned 17, I really started, like, going through, like emotions in, like, a different kind of way than I ever had before in my life. And part of how I was, like, coping with that and, like, trying to, like, process my emotions was that I was listening to like music that like lyrically like challenged me or like put me into like really like vulnerable places. And that's like my favorite kind of music to listen to still to this day. I like music that like puts me into like my most like vulnerable states. You know, I don't know what that says about me, but I just like stuff that like really like emotionally like impacts me, and like you know, that's just the kind of thing that like I gravitate towards. And one of the artists that I really got into around that time was Bob Dylan. And this album came out right around that time of my life where I was getting into works like this. And Murder Most Foul. If people don't remember, if I remember the start of this correctly, this came out as a single, I believe, in the middle of April of 2020, if I believe, or like the second or third week of April. I'm probably wrong on this a little bit, but this came out as a surprise. As the lead single for this album. This, if you don't know, that the song Murder Most Foul, I believe it's like 16 and a half minutes long, or like 17 and a half. It's like around that length. And it came out like out of nowhere as like as a surprise, and Bob Dylan wrote like a little letter to his fans, and yeah, and Murder Most Foul. This song is, I think, one of Bob Dylan's best songs, in my opinion. I think it's amazing. Um, and it really like is like the, for me, the epitome of what this era for Bob Dylan kind of stands for in a lot of ways. I think that and like I Contain Multitudes are kind of like what I really think of when I look back at this at the when I, because we are still in it, obviously, but this era of Bob Dylan, just because like, and part of why like I gravitate so much to this project when it came out, because um you know, artists, like when they get later onto the careers, like, you know, I'm young, I'm only 20, so I'm not gonna ever be able to like, tomorrow isn't promised, but like praying if I'm able to make it to a later age in my life. I know like by then, even though my life experiences are gonna be very different than these artists I'm referencing, but there's a certain like emotion and just like sort of like a way of like expressing your emotions, and just the way you feel melancholy and like regret and introspection, and just like just the way like life, like just like the way you think of the concept of life, and just like knowing that like the end is coming, and the end is always coming. We're all gonna die. I know that's like a very like bleak thing to say, but we're all gonna die, dude. But like when you get to like such an age where like like it's becoming more and more like inevitable. I'm not trying to romanticize it too much, because obviously like like there are certain like like ways of looking at death that like can really be like really like I guess like kind of like beautiful, and it is a part of life. But there's a lot about death that obviously is not great. Um, but the way that artists kind of like start to explore like their mortality, and just like the concepts and the feelings that like death and like vulnerability bring out of us when they get to those later stages of their careers, if they're fortunate enough to get to those, I think makes some of the most interesting work. The most famous example I can think of is, of course, like David Bowie with Black Star. That is one of my favorite albums of all time, easily. Lazarus is like a top 5 song of all time for me. And so there's like, that's a massive example. And then, I know for some people they're going to laugh at this, but I don't really care too much. Where is it? This album right here, Lulu by Lou Reed and Metallica. I know people are probably gonna laugh at this. I like this album a lot. And Lou Reed obviously always talked about, like very like Lou Reed is like probably like if I had to pick like one, I think he's probably my favorite like lyricist of all time in terms of like just writing ability. Just because like Lou Reed would talk about so many like subjects that like are so hard to capture them in the emotions and the nuances that he did. And he did this like for his entire career, not just like his Velvet Underground stuff, like and not just like Transformer and stuff like that. Like he really just like would so much just like of the time just like challenge like songwriting and just just like the like music production, and like I really feel like on Lulu, like he really started to like start to explore like himself, like mortality like within like himself and stuff like that. And then when you have Bob Dylan here, like obviously like all artists like kind of explore like stuff like this obviously to like an extent, but this album, Bob Dylan, this era, he's in some ways subtly, but in more ways like directly, he is exploring the concept of like I don't know how to like explain this, but like, because I'm using basic words, and I know I'm repeating a lot of words, and so I apologize, but he is just exploring so many just emotions, but like just so many just like I don't know, just like so many emotions that just sneak up on you, and they feel, and they're kind of just like there, but it comes from like that like perspective and like that life experience, just like looking back on like your desires and like what makes you you, and like the experiences that form you, and like just like knowing what like you want, and like how your perspective in life has changed, and like you get to a point where you're like, this is who I am, this is what I want. because my life is like, this is life, you know, like I'm mortal, like I'm vulnerable. And I feel like Dylan is really, really exploring that on this project. Like he has other works, obviously. Um, but this one I really, really feel like he's doing that on. And yeah, no, and you know, you look at like Murder Most Foul, obviously, but also I Can Tame Multitudes. Like that is such like Dylan, you know, he obviously he has in the past, but like Dylan, sometimes he doesn't really like, and it's totally fine. That's not a bad thing, obviously. Like he's one of the best artists of all time. But it's kind of rare for Dylan to like look at himself in terms of just like writing songs. I'm not talking about him as a person. Um, but like looking at himself super super like, this is who I am, writing it down. He's always talking like, you know, it's his songs, it's his perspective, it's about him, but like in different like, you know, but from like different like perspectives of people, like from his writing style, all this stuff, you know what I'm trying to say. But I Can Say Multitudes, for example, is literally like about him, like you know, he's talking about like, you know, like, you know, I'm like this or I'm like that, or like, you know, but like I Can Say Multitudes, like, you know, like talking about like his influences, or like the things that like define like the eras that he came from, or like, you know, things that like are defining him now, or like what he does that like fulfills him, and like, you know, what makes him him, you know. And like then like, you know, starting that off with the record, and like it continues on and on and on, and like breaking down these like, you know, conceptual ideas of like, you know, like prophets and like love and stuff like that, and then of course like death and like murder and stuff like that. Like you know, like it's Dylan just doing it in such like an authentic way for him. And that's the thing about Dylan, is like, you know, like part of why I admire him so much is because like he just like, he's not afraid to like take risks, obviously, but like I think what I'm trying to say is like, it's just, he's so just like authentically like himself, and many artists are, but like the way that like he is, there's just like an aura to him, and there's just a way that like he clearly like expresses and like feels like his emotions, that like is so just like, in terms of an artistic sense, it's so like profound, and it's so like moving, and just seeing it done in such like an intimate manner like it is on this record right here. And now seeing the live show for 2 times, so I will get to it soon. You know, I know I'm gonna ramble about this, but I just want to kind of like preface like my connection to like this project and like his work in general, so it makes like when I talk about the concert a bit like make more sense. You know, like there's just something about him that like, you know, he just like the way that he speaks to like to me, just for example, in a way that like other artists don't really. And obviously just as like a songwriter, you know, I mean, he's incredible, you know, and just like technically. And I do like his singing quite a bit, and I love the different eras of his singing, especially like his 70s stuff, like on like Desire and like Blood on the Tracks, and oh my god, and then like you have like you know, like his every period of it, you know, like other periods also, and just like, you know, he just like evolves so much, and that's part of like being an artist. Sorry, it's just like evolving and just like pushing yourself, and just, yeah, no, I just think he's just amazing. And so to get into all those emotions, like when I saw him live for the first time in 2021, seeing those like emotions come to life in front of me, were very like, was very overwhelming in like an amazing way, obviously, but especially what the show was like, because the reason why I want to talk about the first show a little bit quickly is because obviously it's the same tour, but the version I saw a few hours ago of the tour is a little different. Because the first time I saw him live, it was like unlike any stage design he's ever really had before. It was like the stage was like, had this like all of it was like the band was on this like light up like platform that was like this like kind of like glassy looking like reflective like panel thing, and it had like these like lights going down on it, and like I don't know if there's lights coming up from it, I don't remember exactly. But there was like this curtain behind them, and but like throughout the show, like they would like change like colors, like it would like fade, like it would dim and then fade like to a new color, like the songs like started like performed, and I feel like different like vignettes and different like phases for the show and different like emotions. And Dylan's performing mostly songs from Rowdy Ways, but also like some like very like interesting like deep cuts from some of his other projects, and like it just created this very just like, it was very like grand and very like emotional, but in such like an intimate kind of way, and just performing in these like gorgeous theaters. And the band is amazing, and Dylan sounds amazing, and and there's like, and the performances of it are so different than the ones that are on the studio recordings of it, which is awesome to see. But it creates like such like a fresh new experience with it, especially when you're seeing it live and it's so just like in your face, and you're like, oh my god, like this is like, it's such like, obviously like music is like a mental, like physical, like reaction kind of thing, but like when you're like seeing something live, like it becomes like the epitome of that, obviously. And so seeing like music that like for me like really like speaks to me and touches me, and like seeing it live, but like in such like a beautiful like setting, but like with new like versions, it felt so just like gorgeous and just so like grand, and it was amazing. And to specifically talk about it, because I really want to hone in on this, the lighting was amazing. Like I do say this still. The stage design of this version of the tour of the show is honestly probably my favorite stage design I've ever seen for a show. It was so gorgeous. My favorite thing about stage production, besides like the actual stage itself, is the lighting. Lighting to me is what makes or breaks something for me. I love lighting so much. I think it's like the coolest thing. I love lighting in general. I just love like colorful like lights and stuff like that. Like I know like I'm filming something in like right now in this like whitish kind of warmish color. But in general, like in my bedroom, like I usually have like purple lights, or like right now I have like Christmas lights in there, for example. So I just love like little like creative like colorful lighting like that, and just like I really got into like light therapy or something like that like a few years ago, and just like immersing yourself in like this like comfort of like color, and just like how it can like naturally make you like feel like certain like emotions that others do. Like for example, like me with like purple, like that's like my comfort color, and like it's like there's something about like that like color and atmosphere, and just like the aura of that like color that like speaks to me. And so seeing like these songs that I love, like in different like phases, we put in like the color like red, or like maybe like more like a bluish kind of color, or something like that. Like it really was gorgeous, and with the curtain and like the way the lights, it was gorgeous. And the live band also before was fantastic too. And it was just a great night, and Dylan sounded fantastic, and I had a very good time, and the Wang Theater is gorgeous. And so it was great. And so that was basically 2 years ago. And so now here we are now, for my second show of this tour, at the Eporphium Theater. Yeah, that's the last time I'm going to say this. But yeah, no. So here was my ticket for tonight. Let's do this hand thing again. Yeah, so that was my ticket right there. And yeah, so for this one, I was in the Orchestra Right Center. I was row GG, which is row 5, and I was seat 110. So again, just again, like just to reiterate one more time, just like it's a blessing every single time, but like just being able to like see like music that like it impacts you so much, like so like close, and just such like in a massive environment like it is, and just with someone as like important as Bob Dylan, like it's such like I don't know what I've done to like deserve like emotions, like whatever. I don't know what I've done to deserve such memories, like it's I'm so grateful. And so just seeing him live in general obviously like is a blessing. It just is like the ways that I have experienced it though, I know are not common, and I'm really like grateful for it. And so let's get into this performance a little bit. I'm gonna go definitely more in depth about this than I when I talked about the first show. I have some little things here that I printed just because I just want to make sure that like the things I want to address I do address. Let's talk about the differences with the show first. So the set list is a little bit different, but the I guess the main differences. So first of all, the stage. So the Eporphium Theater is definitely smaller than the Wang Theater. I forgot the Wang Theater sat, but this Eporphium Theater only thinks it's like a little over 2,000 people. And so obviously Bob Dylan, like that's a very like intimate setting, and the theater it was gorgeous. Like it looked absolutely sitting in there. But the theater itself was like smaller. So the band setup was also smaller. Like the way it was like the band placement was also like more like crowded in and stuff like that. There wasn't as much like breathing room between them, which obviously was fine. But I read about this a little bit before. But the curtain is gone. That little light platform is also gone. And the lighting never changes throughout the show. The lights come on right when the first song, just make sure I get I'm make sure I remember everything. Watching the River Flow, which is a great song. The lights come up during that, and they never turn off. They never like fade back in and out during this one. They say like the same like color. It's like a warmish sort of like whitish kind of bluish kind of color, if I remember correctly. And they basically what they do is whatever the venue has is like behind them is what they have. Literally like their equipment like case gear was right behind them and like that brick wall, and the venue I guess had like curtains like at the top, and that's what they did. They literally guys like just added lighting, and they had their gear, and they were like, let's just make this as like stripped back and as intimate as possible. And I know like I was just gushing about the first show, but like here's the thing. Like I'm not somebody that really like cares about like, oh, what was like better, like what's like my favorite this like I don't really do that kind of thing. Like everything, like I love things for what they are. Like I appreciate everything and everybody for what they are, because everybody's unique and special in their own ways, and I just like love appreciating things for what they are, and just like the differences in things. I think the differences in what makes things unique are what is beautiful. And I obviously like, yes, like this original show with the lighting and the look of it spoke to me, but this one also spoke to me so much just because like it was seeing that same atmosphere and that same show and seeing these songs come to life right in front of me, with Bob Dylan right there with his amazing live band, who we'll talk about in a second more in depth, but now an even more stripped back in a more just like weirdly more like direct kind of way. Like it's interesting when you and I feel this way about really anything in general. As much as I love like the voice crack, sorry. Just like I love like the fancy, like the grandness of things. Like I do feel like though, like when you still keep the same like main like important integral qualities of what it makes something, but you strip back everything that like is admittedly unnecessary about it though, and you just present it as it is, like even more so, it's even more impactful, and it's even more like beautiful in some ways. Like everything, like, I know I just said like everything is unique and beautiful in their own ways, but like there is a certain like uniqueness though, and a certain like emphasis that things end up in qualities that things like there's an emphasis on qualities, what I'm trying to say, on just like just like things that like for songs, for example, like I'm wording this very badly, I apologize, but like there's just like a certain quality of things when they're still the same, but like you strip back the masking of like certain like things of it, and that it presents it to you in such new like ways and stuff like that. And I think it's also really cool too that like this tour, I believe, ends next year. It started in 2021. We're at the 2023 now, which is crazy to think about. But I believe this tour ends next year. And it's really cool to see that they're switching up a little bit. And they're changing it a bit, and that, they're really stripping it back more. And obviously this kind of goes back to more so towards like what Dylan was kind of doing like before like the pandemic happened, like on his like on the tour he was on before, which lasted like forever. And it's kind of like stripping it back a little bit more, but it's so interesting to see just like him going to such like a beautiful like stage design, to another one that is still beautiful, but just like taking it and just honing it in just on like the band, and like the background is like their gear cases and like the brick wall of like the theater. It's really cool, honestly. Like it's really, really cool, and I admire both experiences both for what they had. Like I think it's amazing. And so yeah, no, I just think it was really cool just like in just seeing that. And I was able to experience like both like versions of this show. And so yeah, it was really, really cool. So alrighty, let's get a little bit more specific about the show, like in terms of like the music and stuff like that. Let's talk about the live band first before I get into any of the songs. Okay, so this live band. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I got all these names right. If I mispronounce any of these names, like I am so sorry. So obviously we have Dylan, and Dylan's, we'll talk about Dylan later. But then we have Bob Britt on guitar. We have Charlie Drayton on the drums from the 2021-2022 tour. I just want to reference him. I want to reference him because he was on this tour. The new drummer right now is Jerry. I'm gonna try to get this name right. Jerry Pentecost. I'm probably fucking the name up, but I'm so sorry. And now he's the new drummer. Then we have Tony Gardner, who's the bass guitarist, and then we have Donnie Heron, who like is crazy. Accordion, violin, electric mandolin, pedals, steel guitar, and lap steel guitar, crazy. Then we have Doug Lencio on also on guitar. And so the live band, quickly to get into Charlie Drayton on the drums for the original one, was great. Like it was totally great, and like, I could have a drum in my life. It's super hard, and so like, nothing was wrong with it. But I will say though that Jerry, I gotta admit, man, I will say though that Jerry was amazing. I thought he was amazing. I loved the way that he looked, and just like the way that like he had this like this confidence to him, and just like the way that he was like meshing with like the live band was just like amazing. Like it was just like incredible. And yeah, no, I just loved like the style he had, and it was great. And also like just shout out to Donnie, man. I like doing that much work, and obviously like there's like during certain songs you only use like certain kind of equipment, obviously. But just like, I don't know, it's just like so crazy like someone like playing for Bob Dylan is like, hey, can you do all of this? And he's like, I got you. Especially because like you can just see like just how like precise and like how like careful he is during the performances. It's awesome. They have like everybody else, and everyone else is like fantastic. Like, you have Bob, you have Tony, you have Doug. Like everyone's great. Dylan gives them a shout out after Mother of Muses. That's always fun just because I like seeing Dylan like, interact with the crowd, but like he mainly just kind of gives shout outs to like the band. They're great. And so I will say also, I felt this way the first time I saw this, but the acoustic, like the quality of it, and like the sound mixing, and just like the all that stuff, this show sounded fantastic. It sounded incredible. I do wear earplugs to shows. I wear the eargasm ones, like I don't know if they make other kind. I just wear like the popular eargasm kinds, like the negative like 19 decibel kind, like the high fidelity ones. I wore those tonight too. The show sounded fantastic. It was mixed like super, super well. Everything sounded great. It just like, it sounded really, really good. And they played fantastic. So I'm really glad that like the live band and the production of it all, like from that point of view, was great. Okay, so let's get into the songs a little bit too. Okay, so I do have the set list here. I'm not gonna talk about every single song. I'm just gonna talk about a few songs. Let's talk about the beginning. Watching the River Flow, and Most Likely You Go Your Way and I'll Go Mine. Fantastic. It was so just like, man, watching the River Flow is such a good song, and then just having a transition into Most Likely You Go Your Way and I'll Go Mine, and just like, just like starting off with such like iconic pieces like from his like career. His accompaniment that was just so like great. And then obviously watching the River Flow started, like the lights like came up, and like because they walk on stage like in the dark, excuse me, and just like, it just like, it was just so like just like the atmosphere of it, and just like the crowd was like clearly getting into it, and like people were so excited and just like cheering, and just it was just great. And then when it gets into I Contain Multitudes and False Prophet, I love the version of I Contain Multitudes that he does on this. I really, really like it. Everything is like, that's something I think too, I was gonna say, like, obviously, like, when you see these songs that, like, you love and admire, like, done live, it's great, but, like, when you see it done, like, in newer ways, it's overwhelming, but also, like, just, it's so, like, cool to, like, see, like, such, like, it's so, like, unique also. Like, it's so cool to, like, go to a show and be like, wow, like, this is, like, a unique atmosphere. Like, you're taking these songs and recontextualizing them in a live setting, which is already recontextualizing them. Like, it's cool to see. I Can Tell Multitudes was awesome. And then False Prophet live. is great. That song live is very, very good. And yeah, no, just the energy of it was just so just like palpable, and like I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then when it gets into stuff like When I Paint My Masterpiece, like that is such a great song, and just like when like it started, everyone's like, oh my god, like because that is one of Dylan's like most famous songs, obviously. And so yeah, no, that is an amazing moment. It's a great song. There's stuff like Black Rider, my own version of you, performance of My Own Version of You was so good tonight. It was so good. I'll Be Your Baby tonight was great too. To get back to Black Rider, I really liked it because like the rhythm of it was a bit different too, and just like the way that like it was like it progressed, like, so because it has like like not as much like progression as like some other songs on Rowdy Ways does, but like the way that like they kind of like flipped it and stuff like that live was really, really cool to see. And then you have like Crossing the Rubicon, To Be Alone With You, Key West, Philosopher, Pirate. That's one of my favorite songs on Rowdy Ways. That was great live. Then you have like Gotta Serve Somebody, which that live was also very, very good. And then my favorite song on the album, I've Made Up My Mind to Give Myself to You, from Rowdy Ways, my favorite song from Rowdy Ways. That is my favorite song on this whole set list. And just seeing that live again there's a highlight, just like last time. I love that song. I think it's so pretty, and just like I think live it just is so good, and just like I just really love the way like it flows, and just like I love like the little like breaks in between like the vocals, and just like hearing like the band, and just like soaking it all in, and I think it's just fantastic. And then the covers, that Old Black Magic and Stella Blue, were great, and it was really cool. Like when the crowd was like, "Oh, like this is the covers of this," like especially like Stella Blue, and so it was really, really cool. Then you have Mother of Muses, which was great. And then of course the show ends with Goodbye Jimmy Reed, and then I think the coolest thing is that it ends with Every Grain of Sand from Shot of Love, and Every Grain of Sand is one of his best songs, in my opinion. I think Shot of Love is a very underrated album. It is one of the most important albums in Bob Dylan's discography, in my opinion. And just seeing him close out a show where you're dealing with so many like different like themes of just like songs about like fulfillment, but also like some like a little bit of like sometimes like these feelings of like desperation also in some regards, and just like feelings of just like trying to like just keep like this like holiness, and just like, so ending up with Every Grain of Sand. So something when you like think back to like that time in Dylan's life, and just like how it contextualizes to like this show and where he is now, is just, I think it's amazing, and that's a great song. And so ending it like on that, I think is fantastic, and I'm glad he ends it on that, because I know it's a very important album for him too, and that's a great song. And so yeah, no, so it's just really, really cool to see. And I love the set list. I really love the set list, and I think it's just like so cool to see Dylan just like put together like a a list of songs that are just so like intimate, and such intimate settings, and just like I don't know, it just like they're seeing the live band just rock out like that and be so in sync and so like tight and together, like it's just so inspiring. Like it's so inspiring and so cool to see, and I'm just so lucky I get to talk about this. I know I'm like rambling, and I'm not getting at this also. I just think it's just so just like cool, and I love it. And yeah, it was a great night. It was a great evening. I mean, more specific. And yeah, no, and I'm really glad I got to go again. And I guess to compare just one more time, like both shows were fantastic, but I love the differences between them. I love like the slight like band changes, and I love like the little differences like in like the set list a little bit, and just like I just really love like the production differences also. And I don't know, I just think like it's just so cool that like I've got to see the show 2 times, and also like they're different both times, they're different experiences. I'm different as a person, like I just think it's so cool that like I have such amazing memories, but like I can look back on them and be like, yeah, no, like I was a different person, but like there's like different like things I can like and differentiate like in terms of like experience standpoint of the show itself. Like they're different venues, like different like atmospheres, different crowd vibes. The crowd also tonight was like very, very like lively. And constant standing ovations, all this stuff. And it was cool to see like a crowd so into it. Because especially because like he's performing a lot of songs that are like definitely obviously it's it has a lot of like rhythm and like blues feels like Americana, a little bit of folk, obviously of course. But like they're very like intimate songs and like and just seeing like a crowd just like be so like yeah guys woo it's awesome. It's really really cool. Of course, they know it's Bob Dylan, of course, but still, like, it's really cool, like, to see that. Just people to be so passionate about like music, especially like when you love that music and seeing other people like love it and like appreciate it and like cherish it and like you're here together for this like amazing experience. It's just amazing, and it was super cool to see too. Like at the end of the show, and like Evergreen of Sand ends, and like everyone just giving massive innovation, and like Dylan's just like standing at the stage and like it's like standing and this kind of does like this in the air and it's just awesome. Like it's just so cool just seeing him at this age, like just soak it all in and just like it's just really really cool. And yeah, no, and just I just think it's amazing. It's an amazing experience to have, and I'm really lucky that like I can ramble about it for 40 minutes on a video. And yeah, and it was great. And you know what? I think I'll wrap it up there just because I feel like if I keep talking more, I'll kind of keep going in circles and rambling more. But yeah, so Bob Dylan. Oh gosh, Bob Dylan. I I'm so lucky that I can go to these shows and just like appreciate like memories like this. It's such a gift, and especially like just the atmospheres that I had and like the seats I had, and just like being able to like feel these emotions that I feel with this music in such like a like as massive of a way as you can. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm very lucky. And yeah, so if this last time I get to see Bob Dylan live, like I'll always cherish it. But like I really am really really grateful. Like I've got to see him at least 2 times live. If he comes back to Boston, again, like I definitely will try to go. Just because like this band is just amazing. His live band is great. His music is still great. And yeah, no. So shout out to Bob Dylan. uh, and it was a great evening. And yeah, so I'll end it there. To anyone who's watched this whole thing, thank you. Definitely a bit of a rambler. Definitely a bit of a rambler. But yeah, so that was Rowdy Ways tour. And yeah, alrighty. I will see you all very soon for my videos. And with that, I wish everybody, whenever they're watching this, an amazing rest of their day, evening, afternoon, night, whatever you want to say. And I wish best to everybody and much love to everybody. And I will see all of you later. All right, take care. Bye.